What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another team selection video. Gianni's going to take us through how Game Week 33 went and how we are looking ahead of Game Week 34 as well. How are you feeling ahead of it?
Yeah, not too bad actually. It was a fun game we've just had, and yeah, it looks like it will be another good one coming up. I must admit, part of me is looking forward to the season sort of coming to a close because I've had a nightmare. But at the same time, I'm really excited about the doubles and blanks we could get. So there's still a lot to play for.
Yeah, it definitely is. And like we always caveat every week, but you've still got your free hit left. So your transplants are going to be very different to someone that doesn't have that left. And that could potentially be big, depending on how it falls. And we're going to have to constantly if the whole way through this video. But we will talk you through it. Just before we jump into it, we have partnered with Fantasy. If you haven't already checked them out, they're doing an £11,250 Game Week 34 weekly monster. So that's the total prize pool. It's £1.80 entry, but free entry for any new customers. There's links in the description below. You've got to pick 11 players, and obviously you can use your FPL knowledge to do that. It is 18 plus, it is gambling. There's links to begambleaware.org in the link, in the description below as well. So if you want to check that out, click that link in the description. Pick your 11 players, and that is it. Okay. Talking about picking 11 players, let's talk about Game Week 33 quickly first. So, in general, it was quite a low-scoring week because you got us a very small green arrow, even though it was 45 points. And I think that was kind of across the board. You know, a few people had Chris Wood, and they had mad scores this week. But otherwise, it was like a 50-ish week. How'd you feel it went? No goalkeeper. You didn't move the goalkeeper on.
Do you know what? I took a -8. And that didn't involve replacing a goalkeeper because I just looked at the fixtures and went, Areola, Lloris, I want them. I would have bought in Sanchez and he got 2 points. So I'm glad I didn't in a way. That played out. The 8-point hit I took actually really played out as well. So I'm glad I took the hits. I actually benched Lingard. He ended up coming on because Ricardo Pereira didn't play
I couldn't believe that. I could, honestly, when I saw that lineup, I thought of you because obviously, Rodgers had mentioned the week before that he couldn't play 3 games, but he could play 2 games. And Luke Thomas wasn't great either. Yeah. He had to come off eventually. But what was the -8? Because obviously, I think when we were talking, it involved the goalkeeper, but obviously you didn't do that in the end.
Yeah, the -8. I got rid of what it was, Andy. I had to get Salah in. And it could have been a very easy -4, as we discussed, if I'd just gone Salah to Bruno and then Alonso on. But something was telling me give Bruno 1 more week, and regardless of what had happened, I was just committed to give him the Leeds fixture, and then I'm selling him. If he got 20 points, I genuinely think I still would be selling him for this week, and I am going to be. But so I ended up, to get Salah in, I had to sell Son. Now he's obviously cheaper than Bruno, which meant I had to sell Harry Kane. But I just kept seeing an upside in that. I went, I'll sell Son and Kane and Alonso. I'll bring in an enabler for Alonso, whatever, Mitchell. That allows me to bring in Salah, who I knew I wanted to captain. And then it allowed me to bring in Vardy, who I saw a massive upside with and differential on all the Kane owners, which I need at my rank. So I went with Vardy over Kane, which I'm still backing. I genuinely still am backing. I know Kane's got Sheffield United in the world and his dog will captain him, but he's usually slow to return off injuries. Vardy's got Southampton, then a double. I just see the upside there with Vardy. So yeah, I'm happy with my moves. Yes, Vardy blanked, but Salah got me a really good return. He kind of made that 8-point hit worth it, just the fact that I captained him. Because if I hadn't have captained Salah, yes, I might have gone Iheanacho, but I think I would have gone Trent. And I did say I was going to go Trent. So, I think that worked for me.
Yeah, looks all right overall. I mean, in hindsight, obviously Vardy wasn't a good move, but I agree. I quite liked it on paper. That was it was a good fixture, and he did have a few chances.
Should have had a penalty as well.
Yeah, well, it was that the push.
Yeah,
it was on the line, wasn't it? They were checked it for so long as well. The fact they checked it for so long made me think they were only checking whether it was on the line.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I feel like it would have been soft, but again, that gets given anywhere else on the pitch. That kind of tackle. But yeah, there you go. It wasn't to be. I also had Vardy, so I was a bit frustrated. I'll bring up the team for next week. Now, you kind of already touched on it. You said Vardy's got a double next week, so you've got a free hit. I guess you're still working off the hope that there's a 35 double and a 36 blank, even though we don't yet know if that's guaranteed or definitely going to happen.
Yeah, and if that's the case, it will be United that blank in 36, which again, I'm happy to sell Bruno, knowing he's got Liverpool next. He then has a double, possibly, which I'd be free hitting in, so I'd have him in that free hit team. and then he's potentially got a blank. So yeah, I'm very happy moving Bruno on this week. And my plan with getting Vardy and Salah in and dropping Son and Kane was always to think, okay, I need to bring Spurs back for this week. So Bruno drops out for either Son or Bale. I think Bale because of the differential status on it. And then when I want to go Vardy, that gives me enough money to go Vardy to Kane in 2 weeks if I need to. So I've got enough money to, when Leicester's fixtures turn in 2-3 weeks, I've got enough money to go bring Kane back in. And I still get Southampton Spurs cover for this weekend. Now, it does mean I'm going without 45% owned Kane and without 45% owned Son for Sheffield United. But I feel like if I go Bale and captain him, 3% owned, there's a massive
Captain
upside.
as well.
Yeah, whoever I bring in from Spurs, Son or Bale, I'm captaining them to make up for the shortfall of not owning Kane. I feel like I have to captain them.
Okay, and like you said last week, like you are trying to get out of the ranks as quickly as possible, and like at this point, like there is only 5 weeks left, so something big like Bale captain.
There's no difference to me if I finish at 500k or 250k. They're both terrible ranks, so I may as well go for it.
Yeah, fair enough. On Bale, obviously started against Southampton, didn't start against Man City. Now a lot of people will say that was probably obvious because. I mean, to be fair, the way without getting into it too much, the way they set up was basically the front three just stayed really narrow, just constantly trying to defend. And I don't think Bale could have done that for very long. So are you either thinking that now that game's out of the way, he just starts regularly, or are you still like it's just a little bit of a punt?
Yeah, I remember saying to you on last week's stream, Bale will start every Premier League game from now to the end of the season. And I genuinely stand by that. Against Southampton, he was the best player on the pitch. Against their fixtures are good, and against weaker opposition, Son, Kane and Bale will be in the starting 11, I think, for Sheffield United, for Leeds, for Wolves, for Aston Villa. And then it's Leicester on the last day. So, that could be a big game. So I feel like Bale is tailor-made for those games when Spurs have more of the ball, for when they need to attack, for when they need to be on the front foot more. He has said that in his post-match last time out. So, yeah, I like it. I mean, look, if Bale, Son and Kane start against Sheffield United, if you went off, say, I don't know, bookmakers odds to return, there won't be much in it. So the fact that two of them are 45% owned and one of them's 3% owned, just back the differential, I think. I really don't think there's much between those three in terms of attacking returns in one given game. Yes, Kane would usually have the edge, but he has been out injured, and he's usually takes him a couple of weeks after these ankle injuries to get back into the full, into kind of, up to full speed. Knowing he played injured as well at Wembley, and he would have been. There's no way he's never 100%, but there's no way he was 80, 90%. It was probably at 70%. I just wonder if that might take its toll as well. So yeah, I think I'm going Bale, mate.
I'm just going to scaremonger everyone that's watching this thinking the same about Kane. When he first came back against West Brom, a lot of people said it was too soon, and he scored. So who knows? Maybe Sheffield United will be the same. But I agree. Like if I had done, I've actually not long recorded a video where I've talked about Vardy to Kane. I agree. If you've done that move, I would probably see it
back
out.
It. You've got to back it.
Even if that double in 35 doesn't happen, he still has two really good fixtures as well. He's also on penalties. And I think Vardy's looked quite good. It's very difficult to ignore Iheanacho, right, in the current form. But we're not talking about either or here. We're talking about both. So, yeah, I would probably do it. I mean, I wouldn't want to watch the Spurs game, that's for sure. Although if you have Bale captain, it could be very interesting.
Something in it.
Yeah.
And do you remember, Andy, was it St Mary's was the 9-0, right?
Possibly.
It was when Vardy, the 9-0 Leicester win, when Vardy got like 3 or 4 goals. I swear that was St Mary's last season.
I would say they've learned from that, but look what happened at Man United. I mean, Southampton's a really good fixture, right? Regardless of 9-0. Even if it was like 2 or 3, like Vardy's got a great chance of being involved.
It's like the Friday night game as well. I've just seen.
Yeah,
even better.
he and Iheanacho could have got more points against Palace. So yeah, it looks decent. So Bruno Fernandes out. If the one thing with that, obviously, if you free hit him back in, you lose the value. Yeah. Have you got a lot of value wrapped up in him? Have you looked into that?
Yeah, I don't think I have, to be honest. I can sell him at 11.5, and he's now he's
11.5.
So yeah, my sale price doesn't. Oh no, hang on. Just checking now. I'll be selling him at 11.2. So yeah, I lose 0.3. Okay, but for a free hit, on if the teams that are doubling that we think are doubling, then we'll be bringing in players that there won't be a huge amount of premium.
There's a lot of value.
So I think I'll be fine.
Obviously, you've got the free hit, so we will talk about it next week, right? But how much have you looked at it? Like, because the two teams that stand out for me, which is where it gets very difficult on the free hit, if it's like we think it might be, is that Spurs play Leeds and Liverpool play Southampton. Yeah. So could you see yourself leaving them out completely?
I think I probably will. If I was in your position on a good rank, I don't know if I would. I'd probably go Salah and Kane, or Salah or Kane. But I would, United could have a fairly good double, although they might need to rest Bruno in one of those games because of the Roma legs. But, I'd go for players like Calvert-Lewin and Watkins and maybe Grealish if he's back. I might take a punt on a Zaha because Palace have got Sheffield United and Southampton. I might go Aubameyang or whoever if he's fit. And then obviously Leicester would have Newcastle and United possibly. So, I'd go perhaps Maddison, Vardy and Iheanacho. I'd just go pretty wacky with it. I would be using my free hit really as a free swing. It wouldn't be a safe free hit. It will be a very fun, wild free hit because I want differentials.
Yeah, fair enough. And obviously we will talk about it more next week when hopefully we finally got everything confirmed. No matter which way it's going to go, it would just be nice to know how they're going to plan out the rest of the season. One player you've got there playing is Rafinha, obviously in the hope that he's fit. If he's not fit, which he did basically, he wasn't completely ruled out last week, but we all knew he wasn't going to start. Are you looking to replace him or will you just play Jota instead?
Yeah, Jota comes in and, worst case scenario, Ricardo doesn't play and I have Veltman come in. It's not the end of the world. Brighton have looked so much better. Jota would come in or Veltman, depending on other injuries. But yeah, Rafinha's definitely got to stay just because, yes, it's Brighton and then it's Tottenham. Not amazing. But Burnley, Southampton and West Brom to finish the season, I just can't move him on. I know I'd want him or Bamford back in. So I'm actually looking at probably bringing Bamford in for those final 2 or 3 fixtures, so the Leeds double up could be back on.
Yeah, definitely. I think that looks good. There's actually, I don't know if there's a huge amount more to touch on really, because I think the transfer of Fernandes to Bale or Son, you're definitely going to go Bale, obviously. I think with the way you've talked about him and then captaincy, and obviously Vardy and Iheanacho just got good fixtures. The one player obviously from Leicester that sticks out is Pereira, because he's now not started 2, and the chances are he will now start the next one. I can't imagine he's left out unless there's something else going on there that Rodgers isn't letting us know. But what's the long-term plan with him? Because he's quite a lot of money, and I guess can't be trusted with starts. And if the 35 double happens, you're going to free hit anyway, and then he'd have a blank. And then I think it's Spurs and Chelsea last 2 games. So what's the long-term plans for him?
Yeah, I don't plan to end the season with him. I mean, I'm just looking at his returns, Andy. Since his last return, his last 6-pointer was game week 23. Oh. Now, bear in mind, he has played, other than the last 2, he's played in every single Premier League game since 23. 1 point, 1 point, 1.2, 2, 1, 1. Even when he's on for a clean sheet, he comes off injured at 45 minutes against Sheffield United. He has been my worst buy of the season, knowing that when I bought him, I was torn between him and Luke Shaw, who has just gone on to get 8-9 points every bloody week. So no, Pereira does have to go. But again, I've got money tied up there, but there's other fires and I want to bring in Bale this week and I'm not taking a 4-point hit just to move him on. So after my free hit, there is a chance he goes. And then, I don't know, to end the season, maybe a West Ham defender. West Ham end the season with West Brom and Southampton. Might go for a Cresswell if he's back. So I think a West Ham defender will probably come in.
Just hope that the Declan Rice is back, because I tell you now, as a Dawson owner, West Ham defence has not been fun since game week 29. They were brilliant before that. They were. But yeah, if he's back, then it's completely different. And their fixtures are so good. I'm hoping that they return.
They were good against Chelsea. Chelsea got the 1-0 win, but they were pretty solid, West Ham.
I know what happened the previous weeks. Maybe it's because Dawson was missing. I don't know. But yeah, otherwise, I'm just looking at the team. So if you get rid of Fernandes, you've only your 3 Leicester boys, if the double happens as we think, would blank in 36. Yeah. So you got one. You could. I mean, Pereira and the Iheanacho Pereira's quite expensive, but he is a defender, and Iheanacho's so cheap they could be benched. So I guess Vardy would then be the big one. So we'll see what happens. So yeah, I think. Have you considered the other way? Not free hitting in 35 and free hitting in 36? It's not worth it for your team, right?
Yeah, it just doesn't work. And it gives me, if the double's in 35 and the blank in 36, I expect most to have 8 or 9 players that week. I'll have 11, maybe even 12, because the only bench players I'll have are Iheanacho and Vardy. That'll be the week I sell Pereira, right? So the only 2 players I won't have that won't be playing, okay, Mitchell, Iheanacho and Vardy. That suits me quite nicely. So yeah, I have started to prep for what I think will be a blank. Hence, being up for selling Bruno this week.
Yeah, I like that move. I think sometimes people look, the free hit might not be as good as we hope because it was really good in 29, not so good in 33.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes people miss that out, myself included, that the value isn't just in 35. It's being able to move on Bruno before a tough game, and in 36, not having to worry about having a team of players that have just doubled who are now going to blank. So fingers crossed is big. Fingers crossed is big, right?
Andy, I want to ask you about Bruno because looking at United's fixtures, watching Bruno, I feel like I'm watching him thinking he needs a rest. I know he's not the sort of player that says he needs a rest or wants a rest. He wants to play every minute of every game, but his performance levels haven't been as good as we've known. Is that a Bruno thing? Is that a United thing? We know he's going to play 180 minutes minimum, could go to extra time against Roma. He's got to play against Liverpool.
Yeah.
Does that mean that the game after the first game of what could be a double, which I think would be Aston Villa or the Leicester game, does he miss one of those, knowing top 4's pretty safe?
I possibly, if it's going to be one, it's going to be one of those 2. You'd imagine it's going to be the first one. I risk that though on like a free hit? I think I would probably keep him. The only thing is, like I think until top 4 is guaranteed, I don't think Solskjaer will let up. And Fernandes wants to play every game anyway. Yeah. So I do agree there's an element of risk. There is an element of risk with keeping him, and that he doesn't necessarily play both. But I don't know if it's a risk that I would want to take going without him for a potential double. But you're right. Yeah, he has to play both Roma games, and he will play Liverpool, I'm sure. Yeah. So yeah, there could be a rest after that. The only thing is, once that's done, then there's probably enough rest period between games, like for 36 and 37. But interestingly, the Europa League final.
When is that?
It's so the Premier League finishes on Sunday, and the Europa League finals on the Wednesday. So there's a potential for a rest in the last day of the season for Man United and Arsenal players if they get through. With
United got Wolves,
yeah. With Champions League, it's the following weekend, so you get a whole week. Well, you get 6 days off, so it's not too bad. But yeah, it's definitely worth thinking about. I've not had Bruno since game week 27, and I think without the free hit, I'm probably going to go without him now for the rest of the season, I think.
Yeah, it's going to be a really interesting one because in 35, if United do get the double, you'd think Bruno would be the go-to, right? Because obviously, Spurs don't have a double, City won't have a double, Liverpool won't. So everyone's going to go Bruno. But just knowing that he might not be starting in both those games might make me slightly cautious. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting in 35 when and if we get that announcement. But yeah, I'm looking forward to watching Bruno against Roma just to see how he plays. I haven't taken him out yet, but I am pretty sold on Bruno out, Bale in. In fact, no, that is my move. I planned it for a week. When I took my 8-point hit even, it was with that move in mind. So yeah, I'm pretty set there. But yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I think his stats have actually been all right over the last 6 matches. Yeah. They're not been too bad. I think that's what he does. Like, he doesn't get into the box that often. He never really has. It just so happens that he did score quite a few goals early on.
No penalties recently either.
Yeah, and so it's making people think he's suddenly a bad option. But as people will tell you, penalties aren't, you can't know when they're coming, right? You could get penalties every game for the rest of the season, and suddenly he's a great option. But yeah, he's an interesting one. I think his stats have been fine, but I wouldn't back it up. I barely even back Man City players against Liverpool, so taking him out I think is fine. If you don't have the free hit, then it's a much more much more difficult decision. And I'll probably be tempted to keep. But there you go. We'll leave it there. Hope, like we've said like a million times now, hopefully we get this news soon. And if it does go the way that 35 is the double and 36 is the blank, then we'll have a free hit video next week, which would be interesting. I'll see how they compare. I don't know how many doubles I will go for. I'm tempted to go 11 and just skip Spurs and Liverpool. But until the fixtures are in, I'm not going to worry about it too much. Do give the video a like if you've enjoyed it and hit that subscribe button if you're new. Gianni, thank you for joining me.
Thank you, mate, and good luck for Thursday night. I think
with your Roma shirt on.
Yeah, I think United are going to be strong favourites, and although I would love Roma, who aren't my go-to Italian team, I've become a Roma fan for this week only. I think they're massive underdogs, and they've been poor in Serie A, and their manager's about to get the sack. But you never know. It's a cup. It's a semi-final. It's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Fingers crossed they go through, but like we said, it is going to affect FPL. So keep an eye on minutes and stuff like that. Give the video a like, hit subscribe. Thank you for watching. Good luck this week, and we'll be back this time next week to talk about Game Week 35. See you soon.